Moo everyone, and welcome to this video about the different types of fuel in the game, which one is best, and also someone wanted to know a good clean setup for turbo fuel, which is understandable. Turbo fuel recipe has weird numbers, so let's go into details about which fuel is best, and at the same time I'm going to show you the setup. So over here we have 150 crude oil per minute, which is the maxed out number of an impure node if you use power shards. If you want other numbers, you can just multiply. So here I'm using heavy oil residue, straight to heavy oil residue, and that's because if you know your alternate recipes, you have diluted fuel is undefeatable when it comes to the number of fuel you can make, and the best one to get heavy oil residue to go there is that alternate recipe. And what about, you know, rubber production and plastic production? Well, you're still making some polymer, which you can turn into rubber, and then after that you have recycled rubber and recycled plastic, which turns your fuel into solid material, and it's a ratio of 1-for-1 fuel into solid material. So if you do the math, going into diluted fuel is the most efficient recipe. If you're using different recipes, then you'll have to come up with those numbers yourself. But this is the cleanest possible setup. And most efficient in that sense. So you have your heavy oil residue here and your polymer. Normally you would, like I said, you would turn that into rubber, but I'm actually just sinking it here. I didn't do that part of the setup. Then you're turning that into fuel here. Now, you're actually, if you're taking these, you're actually making exactly 400 fuel here. Because it's 200 heavy oil residue into 400 fuel. 400 fuel doesn't translate well into turbo fuel. Look at these numbers. They're weird numbers. If you take the calculator, there we go. If you take the calculator, 400 divided by, what was it? 22.5. That doesn't really work. So what I do is, if you take 22.5 times 2, you get to 45. That's a cleaner number. Times 4, you get to 90. Now you're talking. So that does mean that you need to burn away some of the fuel. But like I said, there's the recycled recipes, right? And if not, 10 fuel per minute is actually an easy, clean burn. So for 400 fuel, you can just burn 20 and 20 here, so that's 40. And that's going to give you clean numbers. So in this particular case, we have 16 rocket fuel, turbo fuel here, refineries. And I actually have the numbers here on a notepad. There it is. So we've got, like I said, 200 heavy oil residue turning into 400 fuel. And then I'm actually using 360 fuel into the turbo fuel factory, turning them into 300 turbo fuel. And then that I'm actually turning it right here, 300 fuel divides cleanly into rocket fuel factories because it's 60, so it's 5. So I'm creating rocket fuel with that. So right here we have like the turbo fuel into rocket fuel into 5 machines. So that's the cleanest possible setup that I can think of. If you want more solid material, you know, instead of just 40 fuel used elsewhere, the key here to remember is 4 turbo fuel requires exactly 90 fuel. So, you know, like multiples of 4 is gonna give you a clean setup. That's the key. Now, this setup, you'll see here, for the rocket fuel, you'll need the 50 nitric acid. If you're not making rocket fuel, you're just making turbo fuel, you'll need 50 more compact coal. Because if you look at this, it takes 10 nitric acid and it gives you back 10 compact coal. That's why my current setup only requires 190 compact coal instead of 240. So just make sure you have the compact coal. But yeah, I'm actually so I'm actually rerouting that compact coal back around here. There's a merger over there. But yeah, now let's talk about the power plants, right? So, like we've seen just a moment ago, regular fuel gives you, it's 20 per minute. Here, I have the numbers down here. So regular fuel is 20 per minute, so it gives you 18 power plants. Turbo fuel is 7.5 per minute. It's not running now because I didn't connect it. But yeah, 7.5. Let's bring back the calculator. Here. So 360 divided by 20, 18. Turbo fuel, we've got... So this is for... specifically for 360 fuel, right? That's the amount that we're using here. Technically, if you have 150 crude oil, you can actually make 400 fuel, but since we're not using 400 fuel for the rest of the process, let's not use 400 in the math. For an actual comparison, this is what you have. So now there is the compact coal and the nitric acid here, but I'm not gonna put those numbers. It's minor stuff anyway. It's, you know, it's different material. So yeah, 300 turbo fuel here divided by 7.5, it gives you 40 power plants. Now rocket fuel, there is actually a misconception here, because it says 4.17. That number is actually a rounded up number. You gotta look at the burn rate. So it burns 1 every 14.4 seconds. So in 1 minute, this is what it actually burns. So it burns 4.16 per minute. And if you know your numbers, I'll write it right here. 4.16 is actually 4 plus 1/6. So if you do, 500 divided by this. So here, let's do it cleanly. Actually, let's do 500 divided by 60 divided by 14.4. Boom. Okay, so 500 divided by this number is 120. So like I've seen a lot of people that says, oh yeah, you can almost make, no, you can make exactly 120. So that is exactly 120 power plant. Gotta have the real number here. This is a misconception. Now, to burn off all this fuel, I need 120 power plant. So instead I have 48 here that is maxed out. That way it's just easier because I wasn't going to build 120 power plant just to make a video. So yeah. Rocket fuel, definitely powerful fuel here. Actually, 120, how many power is that? Whew, 30,000. Yeah, okay. 30,000 megawatt, that's good. That is good stuff. Yeah. And that was for 150 crude oil, by the way. 150. Now, what about ionized fuel? Ionized fuel burns at 3 per minute. You could get even more fuel out of that. But here's the problem. Making ionized fuel. There it is. There are 2 recipes. That's a default one. To make ionized fuel, it's 1-for-1, by the way. And it requires power shards. Now, making power shards is possible, but it's quite the process. And the amount of power shards required is kind of insane. Like, to make 500... Let's bring back the calculator here. To make 500... because we were running on 500 rocket fuel, right? Here. So, to make 100, I need 12.5 the process times 2.5. So, 31.25 power shards per minute. And to make that power shards... like... divided by 5. So you would need 62.5 time crystal, 62.5 dark matter crystal, 375 quartz, and photonic matter. Now the photonic matter is actually very easy to make. That part, a little bit less. It's quite the process. It's not impossible. And yeah, you'll actually still gain power. It is kind of worth it, actually. But yeah, that's 1-for-1, right? So that gives you divided by 3. So that's 500 divided by 3. You have 166 power plants instead of 120. So that's an increase of 38% only. Considering how complex the process is, and considering that you need SAM to do that, because time crystal, you need diamond for time crystals, you need SAM, so it's really not worth the effort. It's definitely not worth an increase of 38%. And here, wrong one. Here, the craziest part, there's also another recipe here, which doesn't require power shards, but it does require dark matter crystals. And dark matter crystals still requires quite a complex process. And even then, this is packaged fuel. To give you a comparison here, I will need 20%. Now, packaged rocket fuel, it's actually a 2-for-1. You package, it's kind of the same as ionized fuel here. You need 2 of the material. Well, actually, I can see it right there. There we go. So you see it's 2 rocket fuel turns into 1 packaged rocket fuel. So to get the actual number, I would need, so basically 96 to make the same amount of ionized fuel. And now we're actually, since it was a 38% increase, now we're actually going below efficiency. So this one makes it even less efficient. So you make less than 120 power plant. So, okay, well, what's the point, right? What's the point of ionized fuel? There's actually 3 reasons for ionized fuel. The first one is it uses power shards for the default recipe. Now, you can make power shards, but what if you made too many? There is only way to burn power shards, at least for now. I don't know if maybe in the future we'll be able to just sink them in the awesome sink. But for now, the only way you can get rid of power shards is creating ionized fuel. Like, you can't even take this, it won't let you. Can't get rid of them. Can put them on the ground, but then you're littering your ground. Although they're very pretty. So that's one reason. The second reason, because it's fun. It's a challenge. But that's still not really, you know, other than, oh, it's fun. Well, here's a third reason. The jetpack. Let's start with, just for the fun of it, solid biofuel. Oh wait, I need so solid biofuel. Let's do black here. Okay. That's the height you can reach with solid biofuel. That's 5. Okay. I mean, solid biofuel is really just emergency amount of fuel. You know, it's never been a good... it's never been any sort of efficient. So, let's do regular fuel here. Seven. So, slightly higher. Still kind of sucks. The regular packaged fuel is really just like, it's easy, it's accessible. So next, let's do the biofuel, the liquid biofuel. Now the packaged liquid biofuel, that is for the longest time in the game, as you're developing your stuff, that's clearly the best fuel you can use. Let's put it in green here. So liquid biofuel in the jetpack, also extremely useful for bunny hops, where you gain a bunch of speed from a conveyor belt, or what's the word, the tube cannon. Yeah, hyper tube cannon. There you go. And then once you've gained a lot of speed, you can use that to just maintain your height, like just hopping like this to maintain your height. Very, very useful for that. It's like basically twice as high. It's way better, and it just costs solid biofuel and water, but it is one of those that you have to manually refill, because it, you know, but you can use that, you can use dead bodies to just throw in the process and turn into rocket fuel, liquid biofuel. So it's really, really good for most of the game. Then you have turbo fuel. This is one I'm probably gonna start killing myself. Oh wait, I forgot. Turbo fuel here. There we go. Actually a little bit less. It goes really fast. But yeah, a little bit less. Liquid biofuel better than turbo fuel. Surprising, right? Now, packaged rocket fuel. We're gonna go to the moon. Okay, so let's make rocket fuel. I mean, I already used orange, but that's fine. Let's just reuse orange for rocket fuel. Let's make it maybe a little bit darker, whatever. To the moon! There it is. Whee! So, rocket fuel, definitely better than everything else. Packaged rocket fuel is one hell of a jetpack item, and you can still do the bunny hop thing. You just gotta pace yourself when you bunny hop. So it's still very useful for a long distance. It's definitely a learning curve of not killing yourself on the way down. And now, the reason why you might want to do ionized fuel. I'm not even gonna select a color here. Because you land on top. So this, to give you an idea, this is 40... then I had... Whoops. I thought I did. I thought I had power here. But apparently I deleted that power line at some point. Okay, so to give you an idea, this is 40 foundation high, which means 160 meters. And there was 6 of difference, so that's only 24 meter difference. So rocket fuel is very comparable to packaged ionized fuel, but there's still an advantage to using that in the jetpack. It's slightly better. If anything, it's worth making a small production of packaged ionized fuel, which you can see I'm always carrying with me. I use it in my... whenever I build an Explorer, I use it in the car. Same thing. But yeah, rocket fuel is by far the best for power. I see packaged ionized fuel as sort of costing... You know, you reduce in efficiency to pack more punch in one bottle. So it's useful for the jetpack. That's really what it is. It's really just for the jetpack. If you want to power vehicles, you know, you might as well just use rocket fuel. And there's also other alternatives that you can use. Like batteries are still a thing. You can use batteries in cars. You can just use, like I said, rocket fuel definitely works great for cars and everything else. I'm personally planning on powering trucks with plutonium rod for the fun of it. But yeah, ionized fuel is kind of like the what's it called? The fixium fuel rod of the nuclear world. You know, the fixium fuel rod are barely making any power. Like, yeah, you'll make more power, but it's mostly just to transform plutonium waste. That's all it is. So the ionized fuel is kind of like a similar situation where it allows you to process power shards if you build too many. But yeah, like there's definitely a use for the jetpack. That's the third use that I would say, and the only real use for ionized fuel. If anything, you can make like one. Just one, because you'll never need more than that. I'm producing package ionized fuel at 2 per minute. And I've never run out. And this gives you 40, so if you package it, that's 20 per minute. So you could do like 10% of that, and that would be plenty. So I hope that was useful. And yeah, if you have like other requests for tutorials, then just post a comment. If not, come see me on Twitch. And until next time, have a moo, everyone.